to do some type of string manipulation, right? And there are sometimes that you guys want to perform some date and time operation, and whenever you need to provide some group by type of operation, whenever you need to provide some type of aggregate functions, right? So whenever as a user, if I have some data in my tables, right? So as a user, my organization will ask me to filter out the data on the basis of several conditions, right? So if my organization is asking me to filter out the data or to perform some type of calculations over my data, so at that particular point of time, I will go and use the built-in function. Okay, guys. So built-in function plays a very major role, I can say, while you guys will working with the data. The reason is because the data which you have stored in your SQL server, right? So if you need to use that data in some reports, in some visualization so that you can filter out the data, or let's suppose if you are selling a particular product in the market, right? And if your organization says that, okay, can you please let us know that how many, how many products we sold in the financial year, right? Or how much profit we generated in the financial year. So at that point of time, you will not go for showing them the whole data, right? What you will do is you will perform some mathematical calculation over the data, and then that data you are going to show to the users, basically, or your senior management, right? So that's how the built-in function works, basically. So now let's start with this. So lesson number one we have here is getting started with the scalar functions, right? So what a scalar function is, guys? So does any of you know like what a scalar function is? Any of you, please reply it in the chat box. Okay, there are few question answers. Let me check. Okay. The results incorporated. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So guys, whenever we are working with a scalar function, I can say, right? So in SQL Server, I can say, well, let me just write it down, then it will be much more beneficial for you guys. Okay. So if we talk about a scalar function, okay? So a scalar function is a user defined function that returns, I can say, a single value based on the input parameters, whatever you guys have supplied in that, right? Parameters. Now, a scalar functions allows you to perform or to retrieve the result in a single value, I can say, right? And that can be invoked by SQL queries. Okay. So this is what a scalar function is, guys. So a scalar function is a user-defined function that always gonna return a single value in the result set, right? That totally based on like what parameter or what you guys want to see it in the result set, right? And a scalar function allows you to retrieve the result in a single value, which can be invoked, means which can be changed or which can be altered or which can be modified by using your SQL queries, we can say, right? So in scalar function, as a user, I can supply one or more parameter, right? So that on the basis of that parameter, it is going to return me the result in the result set in a single value, and the value which the scalar function will return is a specified data, we can say, right? And it always uses between your with your return clause as well, right? So sometimes it will happen that you you guys want to see, uh, um, let's suppose sometimes it will happen that you guys want to see some like what is the server name, right, of my server through which I am connected. So at that time you can use scalar function because it is going to give the result in a single value, right? The server name will be in a single value sometimes, right? So that will be considered as my scalar function, right? And similarly, sometimes it will happen that you guys want to see that what is the current date on the server. So for that purpose also you can use the scalar function because it is also going to give you the single I can say um, single value in the result set. So a scalar function plays a very major role, I can say, like whenever we are working with it, right? And basically we can say that scalar function also have some performance consideration as well, because whenever you are using it with within a large queries, or sometimes if you are using it with some large data sets, so the optimization will work under your scalar function, right? So scalar functions are very powerful tool, I can say, in SQL Server, so that a user can easily customize, or if they want they can easily optimize the database operations as well, right? So that is what a scalar function is. So guys, is it clear what is a scalar function? Can you please let me know in the chat box? Like what a scalar function is? Is it clear for everyone? Everyone, please, because these concepts are very much important. So please let me know if it is clear or not. Okay, let me just check. Okay. Okay, I'll explain it again. No issues. 1 second. Okay, so guys, sometimes what happen, let's suppose if I'm connected with my ABC server. Okay, so let's suppose if my server name is ABC, and if I'm working with that server, but sometimes it will happen that, let's suppose that server is of your organization, and sometimes it will happen that you will forget the server name, right? So let's suppose if you forgot the server name, and if you want to find out that what is my current server name, so at that time you can run select at server name. So this is a command which you guys can execute to retrieve that through which server you are connected right now. So what it will retrieve you in the result set? ABC, that was your server name. So that is a single value, correct? So any record, any value which it is showing you in the result set in a single column or in a single row, basically, so that we consider as a single value. And if any of the query result is showing you in a single value in the result set, then we will call that as a scalar function. Okay, so let's suppose if I have one column called total sales. If my organization says that please show me the maximum total sales, maximum means like total of my total sales, right? So at that time, I will do the sum of the whole column to find out that what is the total value of my total sales column, right? What is the total amount? So it will give you a single value in the results, and it can be like 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 1 crore, right? So that 1 crore or 2 crores, whatever it is showing you in the result set, that is a single value which is retrieved by the query in the result set, right? So that is why we call them as a scalar function, because scalar function says that any value which is returned as a single value in the result set through a query, that value will be considered, or that will be considered as my scalar function. So that is what a scalar function is, guys. Now is it clear? Please let me know. Please let me know, guys. Okay, let me just check. Okay, it's good. Let's connect with the labs as well, so that parallelly we can do the hands-on also. Then it will be easy for you guys to understand. Give me a sec. Okay, so where it is. Just give me 2-3 minutes. Let me connect with the labs so that parallelly I can show you the labs as well. Then it will be easy for us to understand the concept. Okay. Let's connect to our Azure Data Studio here. Okay. So now let's see one practical also of a scalar function, that how a scalar function works. So let's suppose if I want to see that what is my server name, right? So let's say, or let's say, oh, it's not working. And now let's paste it. Okay. So now here, so do we have this table product order? Okay, we don't have any table called product order. So let's remove this product. In the product, which columns we have? Do we have service target? One sec. Is that the command correct? Order by, correct? Okay. So can any of you in the chat box tell me that what this query will retrieve me in the result set? Any of you? Can you tell me what it is going to retrieve me in the result set? Just read the syntax and let me know over the chat box. Okay, I can see only one answer in the chat box. Please, guys, please participate in this type of Q&A. What about others? I can see there are 14 participants are there. Just try your best. Like what you can think by reading this command, that what it is going to retrieve me in the result set. Okay, only one answer. Okay, no worries. Yeah, it's correct. It's gonna retrieve me the year. So if I will execute this, can you see? It is showing me the years basically, right? Cell start year, cell start year. And now, right? So this is also like, what can I call it as a scalar function or not, guys? Will I be able to call this a scalar function or not? No, right? Someone is saying yes. Why? This is not a single value. So this is not a scalar function, right? Because it is retrieving me multiple rows and multiple columns in the result set. So if it is retrieving me the multiple columns and multiple rows in the result set, then how I can call this result as a scalar function? So this is not a scalar function basically, right? So that I was talking about. So but if you will run this command, select at server name. If you will run this command, let's say. So it is retrieving your single value in the result set, right? So that means that this second syntax which I have written is a scalar function, but the first one is not. Why? Because it is not retrieving me a single value in the result set. It is retrieving me a multiple values in the result set. So that is the difference between a scalar function and a non-scalar function. So is that clear, like how a scalar function works and how you guys can identify that which is a scalar function and which is not a scalar function? Okay, there are few queries in the chat box. One sec. Okay. So for any like tech related issues, you can reach out to the co-host basically, right? I don't have those permissions. Okay. And so I think this is clear that what is a scalar function, that is what a scalar or not a scalar function. Then secondly, we have like a logical function. So logical function compare multiple values to determine a single output, right? So when we talk about, let's say, logical functions, if we talk about, so it basically logical function evaluates your input expression, right? So it basically compares the data and it is going to return you an appropriate value whatever based on the result basically. So there are several type of logical functions are available. So let me just write it down. If we talk about the logical functions, so guys, logical functions basically evaluate an input expression, we can say, right? And it returns an appropriate value based on the result. Okay. So logical function evaluates an input expression and returns an appropriate value based on the result. So there are, I can say, two types of logical functions are available in your SQL Server. The first one is your IIIF, right? And the second one is your choose. So these are the two different type of, I can say, logical functions which we have that as a user I can use, right? For getting the data, right? To evaluate the data on the basis of input expression, right? Now what this if expression means? So this if is a function, right, which basically evaluates your whatever input expression you have supplied, and it is going to return a specified value if the expression or the parameter whatever you guys have supplied evaluates to true, right? And an alternate value it will retrieve you if it evaluates to false. So it means that if let's say uh, uh, um, if my let's say if my address type is main office, for example, then show me Pratik, or if it doesn't is equals to billing, then show me any another name, right? So if the condition met successfully and if the condition is true, then it will show you a specific value. And if the condition doesn't met, right? So at that time, it is going to show you a alternate value in the result set, right? From a particular table or from any particular data, you can say. And choose is what? Choose function will basically also evaluates on the expression and it will retrieve you the corresponding value from a list based on the position, basically like how you are defining it in the result set or in the query syntax, basically, right? Now let me show you, then it will be more clear. Give me a sec. Let's just okay, so we have one table, let's say sales dot customer address. This table we have, right? Under this column we have customer ID, address type we have. Okay, we'll use this column. So let's suppose how you will use the logical function. So let's suppose if I'm writing select uh, column name is, let's say, address type, comma, and now here you will use the logical function like if bracket open the same column name, okay, let's say if this is equals to main office. Okay. If address type is equals to main office, then show me billing. Okay. Otherwise, show me mailing. And then we can give it as an alias as well. Let's say as use underscore address, right? And underscore for also you can use this address for particular this thing, right? From what is my table name here? Sales LT dot customer dot address, right? Now, can any of you tell me in the result set that what I am trying to do with this syntax? Any of you? Just take 2 minutes, just read this query and let me know in the chat box that what type of data I am trying to retrieve and what type of filter I am applying in this particular syntax. Any of you guys? No one? Okay, I can see one or two answers. What about others? Let me just repeat my question. Can you please read this syntax and let me know that what type of records and what I want to achieve by executing this syntax? Okay, so there are few answers. Let me check. I think someone is saying what is app name function. So where you have seen the app name function, because I have never used that function right now. Okay. So now let me tell you the answer. So I have this table called sales.customer, correct? So in this particular table, I have one column called address type. And under this table, I have several values called main office, billing, and mailing, right? So I want to filter out the data on the basis of a logical function that if the address type is main office, then use that address for billing purposes. And if the address type of main office is not equals to main office, then use it for the mailing purposes, right? I'm repeating it again. So I'm applying a input expression here. So these all my expression, right? In the bracket, which I'm applying with the if logic. So I'm saying that if the address type is main office, then under the address type column, if the data of my address type is equals to main office, then use that address for the billing purposes. And if the address type is not equals to main office, then use it for the mailing purposes. Is that clear, everyone? That what I'm trying to achieve with this address, with this particular syntax? Now let's execute this command. Can you see here? Now for each address, for the main office, it is showing billing, and wherever wherever the expression doesn't evaluates, right? If it doesn't match, like address type is equals to main office, if it doesn't match, then it is showing me the last record, which is mailing, right? If the main office is there, then use that address for the billing purposes. And if the main office address is not there, and if any other address type is there, then use it for the billing purpose, mailing purposes, right? As you can see. So this is a logical function which you guys can use it whenever you have to filter out the data according to the requirement of the user, or if any type of logics you want to apply in the syntax, then at that point of time you can use the if logical function. Is that clear, everyone? Can you please let me know in the chat box if these things, whatever I'm teaching you right now, is clear or not? Everyone, I want just a quick answer from everyone if that is clear or not. Okay, great. Then let's move to our second logical function that we discussed is choose, right? Now let's say, let me choose one table. Let's say sales order header. Let's say this table. So let's say in this table, I will have the column called okay, I have one column called status here, right? Let's execute this. Let's see what type of data we have here. Select start from sales lt dot sales order header. Okay, now let's execute this command. Okay, so it is showing me sales order ID, order date, due date, ship date, and the status also, right? Now let's work on the status point. Status, and what else it is showing? Is it showing anything related to shipped or delivered? Okay, so now let's suppose if I want to apply, if I want to, let's say, let's apply one choose logical function, then I'll explain you. Let's say select sales order ID. Sales order ID, comma, status. and then again comma. Let's apply choose. Okay. Then bracket open. Then status, comma, ordered, comma, else show me shipped, comma, and for last, let's say delivered. Okay. As, let's give it this, as order underscore status from, let's say table name is sales LT dot sales order header. Right? Now, can you guys tell me that what type of data I want to achieve with this syntax? What it is, what it will show me in the result set? Can any of you tell me? Please take 2 minutes, read the syntax, try to think that what type of data it's gonna retrieve me in the result set, and please answer it in the chat box. Everyone. We are just taking 2 minutes, okay? Just read the syntax, think that what type of data it will retrieve me in the result set. Okay, so let's see if what's your answer. 1 sec. Okay, so yeah, that's correct. So I want to see the order status, basically, I can say, right? So now on which condition it's gonna show me? So if the sales order ID, right? So if my status column, if it has one value, it means it has been ordered. If the status has second value, so as you can see, there are status like 5, and there will be some 3, 2, like those values, right? Okay, so there are no values related to that. Okay, let's execute this. Okay, every value is 5, so that's why it is not showing. Okay, so every value status is 5, so that's why. Let's say, let's add then here. Delivered, let's say returned. If the status has record 4, then it should have returned me returned. Else, let's say comma, and let's suppose reorder, something like that, right? Reorder. Okay. Now execute this command. So currently it is showing me the null value. Can you see? Now the order status has changed to reorder, because these columns, these things, these input parameters, right? Whatever you guys are supplying, it will work on which column? On this column, status column. So if the status has record 1, then it should show you the order. If it has the value 2, then it will show you shipped. If the status is 3, then it will show you delivered. If the status column has record 4, then it will show you returned. And right now it only has 5, it means it is showing you the reordered. So that's the logical function works with the choose basically. Is that is clear, guys? Like what are the logical functions we have in SQL? Okay, let me see your comments. Okay, that's great. Then let's move to our other thing. Give me a sec. Okay. And then we have the ranking one, right? So ranking is what? So ranking is, I can say like arranging the data on the basis of the from highest to lowest, right? Or like who achieved the, or like whatever product has the highest price, give it a rank 1. The second highest price, give it rank 2. Like similarly, like we all went to school in our early days, right? So at that time, like who tops the class, who get the maximum number in the class, they always get rank 1. Similarly, like the highest second highest get the rank 2, the third highest get the rank 3. So that's how this workflow goes on, right? So the same thing which is the ranking function as well. So arranging the data on the basis of another column highest to lowest, I can say, right? Now let's see one more practical of this as well, like how this ranking goes, because we can't explain that much about these function like theoretically, because these are the practical examples, correct? Now let me show you one thing here. Let's say I have one table here, product, correct? In the product table, let's see, do we have any list price or something like that? Okay. We have one column list price, so it will have the money, right? This column might have the money. So now let's apply on this. So let's say select product ID, comma, let's say name of the product I want, and what I want is list price. List price. And then comma. Now, what I want to do? I want to apply the ranking on this table, right? So that whichever product has the highest list price must get a rank 1, and similarly it should go, right? So now let's apply the ranking. So for ranking, this is the syntax, guys. Rank, bracket open, bracket close, okay? And then you have to write it down over, like on which column you want to apply the ranking, right? So if you are applying the ranking, you have to apply that on which column you want to apply the rank. So then again, after over, bracket open, order by. This is the syntax which always remains same. Order by, and on which column you want to apply? Let's say list price. And how you want to apply? Descending order. So the maximum list price must get a ranking 1, right? And I want to give it, let's suppose, I alias as well as rank by price, right? And from which table? Let's suppose from sales lt dot product, right? And right, as from sales lt dot product, order by rank by price. Okay. Now can any of you tell me why I have written here rank by price as P? Okay. Can any of you tell me why I have written here rank by price? Like after order by, sorry. Order, no, not here. Yeah. Order by, rank by price, product as P. Come on, guys. Okay. No one? Okay, let me see what's your answer, guys. Give me a sec. Yeah, that's correct. So it will give, like, whichever column has the highest price, that it will give a ranking one. And why I'm using this rank by price, that was my main question. Like, no one answered about this, right? Jim, one sec. So I have given this column, right? List price as this alias, right? Rank price. So this column I have given list price column as rank by price as an alias. So the same alias I can use in the order by clause, right? Because order by clause run after the select clause itself, right? So that's how it works. So now if I will execute this command here, can you see? It has given it the ranking. Like these all values are same, so that's why it has given the first ranking, then 6, then 10th, right? So that's how the ranking clause works. Is that is clear for everyone? That what is ranking, how we can use it? And then we have here row set function. So guys, row set function returns a virtual table that can be used in a SQL statement basically. So row set function is rarely used, I can say, because as I worked several years for as a database administrator as well, but like hardly I can say I have used row set function twice or thrice, right? Because there is a less requirement that you want to return a virtual table in the results set. But if it is showing you multiple columns in the result and the data in the result set, then you will consider it only itself as a row set function, right? So that's what row set function is. So a row set function I can say is not rare. Is the thing like whenever you have sometimes remote servers basically, right? So I think you guys understood about the remote servers. So if I want to connect one server with another server, right? So there are several type of row set functions are available through which you can return a virtual table, and that virtual table can be used in the from clause as a particular data source, you can say, right? And these all row set functions will always take the parameter specific to the row set functions, right? So there are several type of row set functions are there, like open data source, open query, open row set, open XML, open JSON, right? So these are the several type of row set functions are available that you guys can use whenever you want to create a virtual table, and that virtual table you will use in your from clause as a data source, right? And then the last we have is the aggregate function. So I hope most of us are aware about aggregate function that we have also discussed on the second day, I guess, when we were talking about the top clauses and the offset fetch rows clauses, right? So aggregate functions basically like your TSQL, I can say, provides aggregate functions like your sum, maximum, and average to perform the calculations that will take multiple values, and it is going to return a single result in your result set. So sometimes it will happen that you want to do the sum of a particular column to find out the total sum, right? Sometimes it will happen that you want to find out the average of that particular column, that what is the average price. And sometimes it will happen that you want to find out that what is the maximum product price I have in my column, right? So for that particular purpose, we can easily easily go and we can use the aggregate functions, right? So aggregate function will take one or more input values and it will return a single value in a particular result set, we can say, right? Now let me show you one example for the aggregate functions as well. Give me a sec. Okay, let's use every column. So let's say we have list price column. Let's apply on this only. Okay, I'll show you like how it works. So let's say select from, let's say my table name is from, let's say sales lt dot product. Let's suppose I'm using this table, right? Now I want to find out, let's suppose, because we have the list price column here, right? So let's suppose I want to find out that what is the average value in my list price column, what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value, right? So if I want to search all the three in a single command, then how should I write it? So let's say select average. Okay. Average. And in the bracket specify what is the column name, list price, right? Then separate it with the help of a comma, or you have to give it an alias as well, as average underscore price comma, right? This is the first thing, first aggregate function which we applied. Then minimum. Minimum, and in the bracket again write down list price right? And let's suppose as minimum price. Okay. Separate it with a comma. Let's suppose I want to find out the maximum as well. Let's say maximum, and then in the bracket specify list price and give it an alias. Let's suppose as maximum underscore price, right? So these are the calculations which I am running on a particular column, right? So that is what your aggregate functions are. And let's suppose, do we have any okay, we have the product category ID also, right? So let's suppose I am applying because it has so many data, so I don't want to put so much load on my server. So let's suppose I am applying one condition where product category ID is equals to 4. Okay. So I want to see the data for this particular thing. Now if I will run this command. Okay, okay. One sec. It didn't execute it. Okay, so we don't have any product category ID 4. Let's run it for 5. Okay, can you see? Wherever it found product category ID 5, the average price of that particular product is this the minimum price of that particular product is this and the maximum is this, right? So that's how you guys can apply some different type of aggregate function, or that's how you can execute, right? Basically, like aggregate function to retrieve the data and to retrieve the data according to the requirement of the user. So that is what your aggregate functions are. So is that is clear, guys? Like what is an aggregate functioner? That's what are the five different type of functions: scalar function, logical function, ranking function, row set function, and your aggregate function. So row set function is rarely used, so that's why I'm not going in depth in the row set function, but the rest of the four functions are these basically. Is that is clear about all the functions, that what are those and how we can use it? Everyone, please let me know in the chat box. Okay. What about others? Guys, I hope you guys can just say yes or no in the chat box. It hardly takes a few seconds. Okay, what about others? Okay. So someone is asking about dense rank. So here, let me show you one thing. Okay, so someone's saying little understood. So like ask your question then, right? If you are not able to get 100%, then ask your question. I'm here to resolve your queries. Okay, so someone was asking about dense rank. Let me just show you one thing. So can you see this data? It is showing you for the same value. It is giving it a same rank 11111, and then it has jumped directly to 6 because these are 5. Correct? So dense rank will change the value. If the values are same, then it will give it first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank, and then sixth rank. Right? So dense rank will basically generates a unique rank every time if the value is same on the way on which the ranking is generating. So that's how the dense rank works. Is that is clear? So dense rank will always generate a unique value, right? So for here it will generate 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, right? But the normal rank will give the same rank if the values are same. But dense rank will generate always a unique value if the list price are same even though. Okay? So that's what dense rank is. Is that is clear? Okay. So I think someone is asking about aggregate function. Okay. So let's suppose if I'm working in an e-commerce industry, okay, and if I'm selling a particular product in the market, correct? So guys, I hope everyone, you guys might have used Amazon, right? So in Amazon, if there is a product called mobile, let's suppose, right? So the price of that particular mobile product is fluctuating daily, right? Sometimes it's of 10K, sometimes it's of 9,500, sometimes it's of 10,500, correct? Right, guys? Like the product on any e-commerce site is fluctuating regularly, right? Like they are giving you, sometimes they are giving you 1,000 rupees discount, sometimes they are giving 500 rupees discount. So sometimes the actual price of that product is 9,000, sometimes it's 900, 9,500, sometimes it's 10,000. Correct? Is it clear? Right? So what happens is, let's suppose if your organization says, okay, that give me the aggregate data, that what is the average price of that product on which the customer actually purchased. So some customer might have purchased it on 10,000 rupees, some customer might have purchased on 9,000 rupees, right? So what will be the aggregate? What will be the average price of that product? 9,500. So that you can retrieve that average price of that product, like, right, can be retrieved with the help of the aggregate function, right? And sometimes it will happen that your organization will ask that, okay, can you tell me that what was the maximum price of that product when the customer bought it, right? So at that time it will be 10,000. And if they want to see that, okay, like please find out please retrieve me the data that those for those customer who purchase it at the minimum value. So the minimum value will be 9,000. So these are the aggregate function. So you are applying some mathematical calculation. So you guys remember we were using some in mathematics mean, median, mode type of things in our schooling days, right? So aggregate function are like those only, right? You are doing some type of addition, subtraction. You are retrieving average value. What is the maximum value of that product when they're getting sold? What is the minimum value? So that is what the aggregate function actually is. Is that clear now? What is an aggregate function? Okay. Any another query, guys? Any of you? Okay, then let's move to our next thing. Okay. So this we already discussed, correct? That scalar function will always operate on elements from a single row as input and it will return a single value as output. It returns a single scalar value. It can be used like an expression in your queries. Sometimes it may be deterministic or non-deterministic as well, right? So this type of command. So these are the categories where you guys can run the scalar function. If you want to search the configuration of the server, the conversion, what is the cursor, the date and time, mathematical data if you want to retrieve, metadata, security, string, system statistical, text and image. So these are the categories of your scalar function where you are 100% sure that whenever you are going to run the scalar function under any of these category, it will always and always retrieve you a single value in the result set. Okay. Then after that, we have logical function, right? So these are the two logical functions, right? That we also see in the example as well. That output is determined by the comparative logic, right? So we can use IIF and it will evaluate the logical expression and it will return the first value if it is true. And if it is not true, then the second value will be retrieved. And similarly, on the choose as well, it will return the value based on the position, right? Like how you are writing it. And then it will retrieve you the data according to the position or the day or the values, whatever you have supplied in the choose status syntax, right? So according to that, the data will be fetched and it is going to retrieve you in your result set. Is that clear, guys? Like what are logical functions? And then we have ranking functions, right? So ranking function are these that we have just discussed, right? Like the functions apply to a partition or a set of a particular rows. So that's how it works. Rank by price and all. And then we have row set function. So as we discussed that we have several type of row set functions are there, like open data source. So open data source is a data source like from like we can get the data from an object on a remote server. Open row set, we can run an ad hoc query on a remote server or file. Open query, we can get query result from a linked server. Open XML, we can read the element and attributes from XML into a row set. And open JSON, read the values from JSON object into a row set. So these are the several type of row set function, which according to the requirement of the user, I can say, we can easily go and work on it. And then we have aggregate functions, right? So functions that operate on some sets or rows of the data. We can summarize some input rows or without the group by clause also all rows are arranged as one grouping basically, right? Like select count star. So to count me the total number of records which are stored under my order lines column. Do the mathematical calculation of sum on which like multiply firstly order quantity with the unit price and do the sum of that particular column and show me the column name as total sales in the result set from which table, from sales dot order details. So these are the 5 different type of functions which a user can use while they are working in SQL Server. Then we have